I'm scared of taking the last 17 weeks of work and really the last 9, 10 years of my thinking and putting it into the world, only to have the world spit it back at me and say, this is not worth having on my phone. Hello, YouTube. Me again, Tim. So what are we talking about? The follies of trying to build an app. I am one of probably hundreds, maybe thousands of people that you have run into on social media that are building a fitness app, except that I'm not building just a fitness app. I'm building something more like a magnum opus of fitness apps, building a proper bodybuilding app. This is something that I don't think exists in the market. There's nothing that I've seen that brings together all of the elements that you would need as a bodybuilder. And by bodybuilder, what I mean is someone who is concerned with building muscle and or losing fat. So basically anyone who cares about body composition. And at the moment, there are workout loggers, there are nutrition loggers, there are check-in photo loggers. There are these individual tools that all allow you to do the things that RESISTX does. But what I think RESISTX does, and is the first of its kind, is it brings them all together into one unified surface and really tries to create a complete system that allows you to optimize your body composition journey. This is something that I have cared about for a very long time. And if you want to know more about how I came to the conclusion that I should build this app, you can click a link somewhere in one of these four corners that will take you to the first video I did that kind of explains it in detail. I've been working on this app now for 17 weeks. And I've been doing that pretty much nonstop, like weekends included, more than full time. In fact, I just came back from a 3-day holiday, which included 2 days on the weekend, which is like the first time off I've taken really since I started this project. It's funny, like I've learned, there's this lesson that you're meant to learn in entrepreneurship that everyone will try to teach you along the way. But this whole thing that we're working on, this whole trying to create value in the world, it means nothing without two really important things. One, you don't create any value if nobody knows you exist. And then the other lesson that every entrepreneur will try to teach you is you need to fucking launch something. But the thing is, if you don't launch, if you just get stuck in endless loops, building, perfecting, building some more, changing, do it over again, make it better, then again, no one gets to experience the value that you're trying to create. And I guess in a way, that's kind of the loop I found myself stuck in. Now, in 17 weeks, I've managed to build a lot. The app does a lot. But what I found was that despite knowing that I shouldn't do this, I just couldn't seem to resist the urge to just keep adding more. And the app has gotten to the point now where it's almost like a bunch of chapters of different books. But what doesn't exist yet is the book. And the chapters don't quite connect to each other. They're all written in the same kind of style, but they don't tell a coherent, unified story. And that's a problem. That's not going to work. That's not going to generate the value that I want it to generate. So enticing to do this. And I knew this going in, that it'd be so enticing. And here I am 17 weeks later, and I've done it anyway. But you know what? That's okay, because I've got a plan. Here I am confessing that my homework is late, but it's done. Or at least I now understand the assignment. Maybe that's the better metaphor. So I need to pick a time and a date to launch, because it's time to get this thing out there. Now, as it turns out, here in Australia, we have an annual fitness conference called the AusFit Expo, the Australian Fitness Expo. And that just so happens to be at the ICC Sydney, which is walking distance from my house. How convenient. This year, the Australian Fitness Expo is on the 11th of September. And from previous times I've been there, I reckon it is the largest collection of potential users, or at least people who know potential users of RESISTX. If not the planet, then definitely in Australia. And so the bottom line is that's the launch. That's the line. That is the line that's getting drawn in the sand and that I have to cross. I have to have the app ready to go by the 11th of September, 2026. So what does that mean? My biggest problem is that I'm not in the App Store. At the moment, we're running a beta through Test Flight on the Apple App Store and through the internal test track on the Google Play Store, But that needs to turn into public listings. And in order to do that, I have to get the blessing of Apple and Google that my app can go into their stores. Now, this is not my first rodeo. I've done this before, and it's not easy. They have a lot of rules so many rules that you can't possibly read and interpret and understand them all. And not only that, not even the people who decide whether you follow the rules know all the rules, because you'll go through review one time and get approved, and then go through review another time and get rejected on something that you were previously approved on. That's how complicated it is. And I need to get that process started sooner than later. Today is the 12th of August, and I have basically 4 weeks to get my app into the App Store. That means that I need to get it submitted to Apple and to Google for review as soon as possible, which means that I need to get it to a point where I'm comfortable putting it in front of users. What does that mean? At the moment, that means two things. One, there needs to be some kind of onboarding, because RESISTX is lacking in any kind of onboarding experience. It also means that I need to get a paywall up. There has to be some point when I say to a user, hey, this thing actually costs money, you're going to need to pay for it. And so those are the two focuses. I want to get that done in the next week and get this thing in the queue for review. I think I'd be lying if I said that there is not a part of me that's really afraid to do this, because I have put so much energy into this thing. Like I said, 17 weeks straight with barely a break to build this thing. There's a lot of me in there. While I do have a beta test going on, every single person in the beta test knows me or knows someone who knows me. And in a sense, they owe me a little bit in the social contract. They owe me kindness. But the market, when you're building a business, does not owe you kindness. And even if it did, you're not getting it. When you launch something, you are transitioning from the dream of building something and putting it into the world. You're transitioning into the reality of building something and putting it into the world. And the reality, the main difference, is that in the real world, people tell you to fuck off. People say, not interested. Paywall goes up, eyeballs go elsewhere. Or 1 month subscription, not happy, 1-star review, or whatever. The world is incredibly unkind. That's not a complaint. That's not what was me. It is just an acknowledgement that I'm scared. And I suppose if that happens, then I'll just have to figure it out and just find what's next and move on. All that being said, though, the lesson has to be learned, and I have to take the next step. The last time I tried RESISTX was 8 years ago at this point. I failed to launch. I did not have any social media presence. The product wasn't even that good. So forget about generating value. The thing was pretty useless. This time around, I think the product's good. I think it is good. At least I think it's better than what anyone else is doing. And so now I just have to solve those other two problems. I've got to get this thing out there, and I've got to let people know about it. And I suppose that's the reason why I'm challenging myself to do this thing where we have these little chats through this camera lens. I've heard from multiple successful entrepreneurs is how much they either appreciated or regretted not capturing the journey. And this is one thing that I have been really poor at, because I'm not really used to putting myself in the center of a thing and saying, look at me. The truth, I think, is that I watch those stories. I watch stories about founders who have made it and other people who have succeeded, and I cheer for them. And so maybe people would be willing to do that about me as well. And who knows, maybe someone will see this video and they'll think, oh, I've been looking for an app that does that, and they'll go try it, and it'll make a difference in their life. Or maybe someone will see this video and they will know exactly what to say to help me get through this particular challenge and onto the next one so that I can become better and stronger. Whatever it is, I think I've got to get over this hang up that I have with creating opportunities for people to know about what I'm working on. I will be walking around the floor of the Sydney. I will be walking around the floor of the ICC in Sydney wearing my RESISTX hat and wearing my RESISTX t-shirt with a QR code on the t-shirt, encouraging people to scan it and go download my app. And for those 3 days, I will be challenging myself to talk to as many potential customers as I can and to get as many people aware of what I'm working on as I can. And I might even document the journey a little bit, for as much as it makes me cringe a little bit on the inside to create a vlog. I think that's what it means to be at least a solopreneur, but probably an entrepreneur in 2026. So anyway, this is it. I've got 4 weeks to do the thing that I have not successfully done before. And I am going to put everything that I've got into that thing because I've got to figure this out. This project matters a lot to me. It needs sunlight and oxygen. I've got to get it out there. And it does occur to me, is that enough? Is it ever enough? I think it's enough. This is so hard. Oh man. But you know what? I am in a very privileged position. I am in a very privileged position to be able to do this hard thing. I get to apply skills that I have mastered over many years to a problem that I care about deeply and that I have a personal connection with. This is just not the kind of thing that most people get to do. And I get to do it from the safety and security of a wonderful country with a wonderful family and friends that support me and a roof over my head. And so no pity party here, just an acknowledgement that it's time. It is time. Thanks for listening.